Good afternoon. We're going to get into some Orioles baseball right now, which also means uh, Orioles baseball is going to be starting here in another at 6:40 tonight. So a lot of people wondering how the Orioles are. This is just the one thing I didn't want to bring up. They're, way they're playing, I don't know. I don't know what even to say about these two. These two teams realize what this, how this is going to be accomplished tonight. I think last night was kind of bad, but this game I saw last night was not as what you might say kind of better, not good. I'd say it was kind of on the loss column to me because this was kind of on the losses where they had to be a little bit more better than what they were, how good they wanted to be. But sometimes I think this was a little bit sure of themselves because I know a lot of these teams are not looking too good right now. And it summarizes to me that this was, I just, I don't know what to say about this whole thing. But the Orioles should be an all right team. And I think they're going to be okay for tonight. But the pitching matchup for tonight, I don't know who it is and who isn't. They're trying to get somebody from the minor leagues to come up to the Orioles. I don't know if they got there last night or not, but he's supposed to debut tonight for his season debut in the major leagues. So I don't know who it is, who is it, who it is. I don't even know who it is. So we'll have a full thing on that tonight. But I'll tell you, this was really bad last night. To me, if the scoring wasn't so bad, in less than that second inning last night, I'm just looking here on my score sheet here. If I point out what you actually didn't see last night, by the Orioles fans, you think it was going to be a little bit closer than what you thought. The scoring ended up in the in the second inning. He scored four times in the second, and then the third, the Orioles came back on top of the third and made it 6-2. And that in that way, I didn't realize I missed a score here. I just missed one. I guess I kind of missed what I forgot to do. I forgot to put in a number. I have to go back and look at it again. Look at the stats again. And I just think that this whole game was kind of going up or down, or like going up or down. But this game was really, really fast. Where this was so bad last night. There was a lot of mistakes in this one. It just it really ended up 6-3. Ended up 6-3 last night. It was 3 runs on 9 hits, 1 error. It was 6-10 and 0 for the Miami Marlins, but this one was not as good as it should have been. Not too good, but just don't like what I've seen so far. But I don't like to see some of these guys bring out in that field and get hurt like they did. Uh, there was things last night that was really like was so hopeful, but you just couldn't have accepted it. When you accepted things like that, you think it was going to be a little bit higher than what it should have been. I just think that this team was really good last night, but Miami was pretty good on their offense. I mean, they were good last night because they were really doing that double plays and with a lot of triples and stuff like that. But it was really easy to just to score on their field last night. It was so easy. It was so easy last night. It was so interesting. Like you see the Orioles really do things the right way. I think this was a little bit up in between this series and this this game last night. But this was terrible. I mean, this game was really terrible. I mean, this game was not as good as it ought to be because tonight's game should be a little bit better. Is what I'm thinking. If this game goes as better as it did like last night, it should go better. But if this game was so close and it got more scoring in it, then it could got better. But the scoring wasn't good enough. But the Orioles are really failing this time of the year. Getting too close into the later in the year. And I think this is to actually say that because this was kind of concerned me because even if you decide where this game was going to last last night, this would have lasted for at least for about an hour. Would have lasted for at least for a whole hour. But I think this was a little bit better than what I thought last night. But this was so bad. It was really bad last night because I realized that this was getting kind of in between where you thought it was going to be a good game or wasn't too good. But I thought last night it was so interesting. It was really interesting. But this game schedule really has to add up where this game would have been better than what I thought it would have been. But this game was not good enough. They're playing in Miami tonight because it was so hot in there. It was so sweating in there last night. It was so perspiring when the players got out in that field last night. It was so hot in there. You couldn't believe it. But it just reminded me of like nothing was working too good. It was really, for the players last night, it was terrible. But it was like it was so, how should I put that? It was so perspiring last night. You couldn't even believe how bad it looked. But the pitching was better. The pitchers were good enough. But they couldn't get the pitches. They got the pitches over what they should have had. But I think this was, it didn't really, it really didn't get too good. But this game was really, quite part where this game would have been better, in which you thought it was going to be kind of going into this series. I thought this game was really, tonight's game should get better for the Orioles because I think this one's, I don't know who is the pitching tonight, but I couldn't understand the name of it, but I couldn't understand the name of what they're going to bring, who they're bringing up from the minor or the minors. I didn't. They were with them during spring training, but I don't know who it was. From the, I heard Brandon Haas say last night, but I couldn't understand where he was. They got this, and with this news, he was asking. The reporters were asking questions how the game really was last night. I think he really answered them pretty well. But this was really Brandon's really what he has to remind himself what the players are going to do out in that field. And it just, and if the injuries are getting worse, because if this was more than what you expected to do it in that way, you couldn't hardly go that far. You couldn't go that far in between. And I know a lot of people have been wondering what's going on. I don't know as much as everybody else does, but the NFL this week is really looking good. I mean, things are starting to look a little better in the NFL. But I don't know. The Ravens could be, but they're going to be playing a different schedule this season. The first preseason game, I think they have against Philadelphia. I think it's Philadelphia. August the 9th, I think. I think they got the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they have Philadelphia, but I don't know what the schedule had to be. I don't know their schedule yet. Because even if it was, we'll have updates on that one as I get into the show this week and on over the weekend. I'll have more on that on over the weekend, so you'll know what's going on with the Ravens and the Eagles. Because Philadelphia is coming. I don't know if this was how. I know the Eagles are good, but their running game is better from their preseason games. I don't know who they're going to have on the club yet, but the Ravens, I don't know. The Ravens should be okay on their quarterback positions, but the decisions they're going to make, I don't know. But it was really, I mean, this year is really going to be a tough decision for Jim Harbaugh, because if this game was kind of going up in the air, which it shouldn't be, but it just sounds like it's really going to be this is going to be a tough decision where he's going to have to decide what team they're going to take on and whatever. I knew that Thursday night game in Kansas City. I'm a little worried about that. Game. The first game of the season. That was the one I was just concerned about, where the Ravens are going out on the road. I just didn't know who they're going to take on that Thursday night game. It's at Arrowhead in Kansas City, and this club has to have their homes to the other side of the quarterback positions. I've been looking at this team. I didn't scout these guys yet, but I don't know anything about what Kansas City. I know what their quarterback had last season. He really threw a lot of touchdowns last season, but there was something that was after that Super Bowl win against what Kansas City did last year. I think they're going to really have their quarterback positions closer to what they were going to do for any club that didn't win, that didn't do it. But this game was, this preseason game is really going to be one of these, the first week of the season. I think the Ravens are really going to have their hearts set on this game. But I don't have anything on Kansas City. I don't have nothing. But I'll get some more details as I get into the preseason game for the Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'll have more on the Eagles later in the week. So I'll have to scout them and see what they have. And I know what a lot of people, this is going to be a long time since I ever said this, but I don't know. I know about the Ravens positions. They take on a lot of the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And I don't know what the schedule has to be going into this game on August the 9th. But this sounds to me, for the first game of the season, this sounds like it's going to be a long season for the Ravens to get these teams actually developed for this. And this is one thing I've been looking forward to for the last couple years. Years ago, you just couldn't say you couldn't say where some teams were going to be kind of better or not better. But some of these teams may not look good, but some teams may. But you get into the middle of the year, you're going to get into the August positions and then into September. And I mean, it's going to be one of these years you're going to see things really change. And I know what the Orioles are really up against too. And it is going to be a really good, solid pitching. They have to look for somebody that can pitch. And I mean, a lot of these guys, a lot of them are beat up. And I know what the Ravens are going to go in for too this year. They're going to be really this year. I don't know. I gotta keep my eye on these guys and see where the Orioles are going to stand, how they're going to stand with this, how the standings are going to hold up, how everything's going to be out. I think a lot of the beginning with this is it's so many of these teams out there that that you think you got them all. No, but I think most of the NFL does. But some of these teams have a lot of owners that this was kind of going right behind each thing. Every Sunday, we're going to have the NFL Today on the air. Each week, we're going to have the NFL Today. So you'll be able to know what's going on around the National Football League, configured around the league. And you'll know what's going on around the league as we get into the scoreboard and all that too. I'll keep you updated of every score we get into here, everything we get into the studio. So we'll keep updated of the Orioles and the Miami Marlins tonight at 6:40 here on Masson. Coming up with the with more people thinking this season's really going to be. I'll have to keep tabs where I'll have to keep my eye on a lot of these games that you think I can't do. But I can see where some of these guys are going to really be tested to see where they're going to have positions this year, what positions they're going to take. The quarterback needs a lot of the passing games. They get into good passing games, maybe they'll be okay, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll have more on this. We'll have more on some football talk this coming week. I'll have that when it gets closer to the season. When I get into what Littlestown's going to do this year, I just got to keep tabs on the high school football season. But I was with the high school for a couple years, but more likely I was so contained with it. I was so into it then. But the high school games are the first team that I know where Littlestown is going to take they're on the road this year. This is our first preseason game on. I think it's our next game's at Bowling Springs. I think that's the first scheduled game we got. But this team is really. If this was going to be a road game, but I think this team's really going to. Excuse me. Oh. But I think this Littlestown Football Club, this team is. And if this team can really play better football, I think this one's going to be a little bit more interesting. They're going to be younger. They're too young as what we got into the playoffs one year. I think this is going to be quite a season coming up here in the high school football. And I know a lot of people are looking for the Ravens to play better. And if Littlestown plays better, the Ravens should play better. I think a lot of these teams or get into the much as the high school ranks. A lot of these teams are really looking good this summer. I think this is. I'll have more on Littlestown and the Ravens here on our show beginning later in the year, later in September and August too, and before the preseason starts for us. So we'll keep you updated of everything, of all the scores and everything coming up here, and we'll have all that coming later this month, later this year, because I want to get through this baseball season because this is what the Orioles need to do. They gotta have some good pitching and some good solid defense to get the team off the field and get them into the dugout. But I think this team has really had pride. They have really got good stuff coming up for the Ravens and the Orioles. I think the Orioles are going to be really ready for this game this weekend, tonight, before tonight's game ever starts. But this game is really, I'm really thinking this could be one of the best games of the year for these two teams. I'll have more on this story as we get into tonight. I'll have tonight and tomorrow to talk about this. I'll see you over the weekend with more around the National Football League, and I'll also update the Orioles and the Marlins. I'll have more details on that tonight here on Masson on those extra. I'll have a show on that tonight right after the game. I'm just wondering how this team's going to really be. They didn't look too good last night, but this team was really not into it before they got into the hitting. I don't like to say that, but I'll have more on that tonight at 6 after 6:40 tonight. So we'll see you later, and we'll have a good afternoon, and we'll see you about 3 hours before the game. We'll see you 3 hours before the broadcast for the Orioles and the Marlins. And we'll see you then. We'll see you then here on the Masson, beginning at around 6:40. And we'll see you later. See ya.